I'm starting a little bit late here, but today we're working on the 87 Chevy V20 R20. It's 3/4 ton pickup. We're doing rear axle bearings and seals. First thing to do is get your truck on jack stands. Support the rear end. This particular truck does not have the full floating axles, which would be I think 8 or 10 lug nut or 8 or 10 bolts here. You pull those and pull the axle out. On this truck, you have to take the pumpkin cover off, which is right there. We start with loosening the bolts. I usually do about half, like do all the bottom bolts, loosen the top ones, pull the bottom ones, and let it drain. Give it 20 minutes or so. When it's empty, we can pull the cover off and see what we're dealing with under it. Get the brake lines off, go ahead and get all the bolts out. Leave the top one in. Leave the top middle one in, just loosen it up. Now I should be able to crack this open. Let it drain a little quicker. Alright. That's ready to come out. That gear oil looks like shit. Looks like chocolate. Okay, I had the little bolt holding the pin in. I had it sitting right about here. I went ahead and loosened it up. Then I rotated my ring gear to where it's sitting now. And the bolt's still sitting up here. You can see it right there. I just left it in there. I pulled the pin out this way. See, it slides up through there. I'll pull the pin out, set it to the side. And now you can come out here and push your axle in. And when you do that, it pushes your axle in there, and then there's a little clip right here. Little horseshoe clip. There it is. Once you get this clip out, set it to the side, and you can push your axle out that way. Your bearings right here. This is your seal shot on this one. But we'll have to get a slide hammer. It's going to go in here. The jaws will spread open to where they sit. They hook behind the wheel bearing here. And we use the slide hammer to knock the bearing and the race seal all out at once. Okay, whenever you're using the slide hammer over here to knock the bearing and the race and seal out, little tip for you, you can put the pin back in the gear and just let the bolt sit in there to where it holds the pin in, the big main pin in the middle. And this way, whenever you're beating around with your slide hammer, you're not going to knock the gears out, the spider gears out, and you don't have to mess with trying to reset up the spacers and everything that's in it. I got the new bearing in already. And the way I did this is I used a big socket. I just found something that was close to the size. And I got an adapter inside of there. Put an extension on it. You get the bearing started with a little hammer. They go in pretty easy. And I just use this and hit it with this little sledgehammer and until it stops. There's a little lip back here behind the bearing, so you'll know when it stops. Next thing you'll do is install the seal over the top of the bearing, and it goes in just like the bearing does. It's real simple. Alright, my gasket maker is on, and I let it sit there for about 5 to 10 minutes and tack up. I put all the bolts in finger tight, and then go around them with a ratchet and socket and just snug them up just a little bit to where the silicone starts squeezing out of the edges. Let it sit for about an hour and cure, and then come back with a ratchet again and tighten everything back up. The last step is to refill your oil, and you're going to locate the fill port, which in this case it's a 3/8 ratchet, no socket needed. Just put the ratchet in there, pull the plug, take your gear oil, and fill this up until it starts leaking out. Once it starts leaking out, it's full. Put your plug back in and you're finished.